In Conversation with Terry Shepard, award-winning broadcaster, narrator, and author. A deep dive into the writer's craft with the artists and support systems who create the stories we love.
Thanks, Lisa. Today, I'm thrilled to sit down with a good friend and a truly multifaceted storyteller. Best-selling author, accomplished performer, and martial artist Tori Eldridge. You may know her from the acclaimed Lily Wong mystery thrillers, her award-nominated and genre-spanning short fiction, or her haunting standalone novel, Dance Among the Flames. But today, we're diving into her newest creative milestone, KAUA I STORM, the first installment of her brand new Protagonists mystery series. Set on the island of Kauai, this rich and emotional adventure follows park ranger Makalani as she returns home after a decade away to find her family fractured, her homeland in jeopardy, and her cousins mysteriously missing. There is something new to Tori's life these days. This is the first of her books that she has personally narrated. So we're going to talk a little bit about that too. Tori Eldridge, welcome back. It's great to be with you.
Oh, mahalo. It's so good to be here. Any excuse to talk to you is a good excuse. Glad to be here.
Why did you narrate the book?
Oh, because they hired me. Yeah, because that's how it works in traditional publishing. I filled out a questionnaire early on. I put in the things that I thought would be necessary for a narrator to be able to do, to be able to fluently pronounce phrases in Olelo Hawaii, our native Hawaiian language, to be able to have a real familiarity with Hawaiian Pidgin English so that it didn't all sound the same. Those things were very important, as well as the other things that usually go into narration. And I let them know. I said, I just want to put myself forth for consideration because I used to be an actress on Broadway, TV, film. I've done voiceovers for television. I've been a podcaster, all these things. And then I just put it out of my mind. Did my writery stuff. And then one day, I got an email from my editor saying, guess what? Brilliance Publishing wants you to audition for narrating your book. So yeah, I had to do a sample narration. And of course, I took it to all my book narrator friends, including you, to get lots of feedback, polished it up, did some more recordings till I felt pretty good about that and sent it off. And here I was once again, having retired, or so I thought, from acting and all of that, waiting for a gig. I was like, oh, I hope I get this job. And then I had to go, chill, Tori. You're an author. You're the author. You should be hoping for the best possible narrator for your book. If that's you, then great. If it's not you, then great. And I tried to chill. But when I found out I got it, I went running around the house screaming like, it was hilarious.
I remember that day. Yes.
Yeah, I called you on the phone. I got it.
Narration is such a different performance than anything you've ever done before. How did you put your mind in that space to do it so well?
Oh, very true. By the way, I didn't mention this before. This was a SAG-AFTRA gig. Yeah. So the first thing I had to do was call my union and go, I still am like on honorary withdrawal. It's okay for me to do this. They're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, thank God. So I know, right? That narrating a book, because I love audiobooks. I listen to them all the time. It is a very intimate experience. Way different than putting in the voiceover for a character or definitely performing on stage or performing live. So I had to rethink all of that. They assigned me a director, a fabulous director who I knew, by the way, Jennifer Aquino, award-winning, great actress, great director, and familiar with Hawaii. And so that was my director. And so what I did was they said I was going to be recording for 5 days. So I gave myself 10 days to rehearse. And I used my Yeti microphone, professional microphone. I had on studio headphones because as we sound different when we're speaking into a microphone and when we're hearing ourselves on a headphone. Way different experience. And that's what I was going to be experiencing when I went into the studio. So that's how I practiced. And I was also told that we were going to do punch-ins. So I'd go along, and if there was something that I felt was wrong, just to pause and pick it up where I left off, do it again, and keep moving forward so that I didn't comment on myself or put any negativity on that. Just, oh, I screwed this up. That's no problem. Just pause, do it again. So I practiced that way. And then my director was so great. I asked her, can I send you like a chapter for your feedback? She had already given me feedback because I asked for my sample narration. So I sent her the first chapter. She loved it, gave me all this feedback and everything. I applied that to my rehearsal. I'd hit another crucial chapter. I'd send that to her, get more feedback. I'd apply that. We ended up going back and forth, I'd say 4 or 5 chapters. By the time my 10-day rehearsal and I had gotten through the entire thing, I felt so locked in and in tune with what I was supposed to do that when I arrived at Digital One Studios and sat down at that booth and opened my mouth, it was like smooth sailing.
How did that feel?
Oh, so good. It felt so good. And I had my director in my cans. She was in Los Angeles. I had this amazing editor right there in the sound booth. And lots of times you say, instead of the, or you speak too fast, or your mouth makes noise or stuff like that. And they're like, we got to do that again. Go back, punch, back. And you just get into a rhythm. And every now and again, there would be more of a performance comment, but suggestion. But for the most part, it was technical things. And it felt great. Recording studios have always been my happy place as a singer and as an actress. So it was great to return.
Did it feel at all similar to when you were in as a singer?
It did. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'd have to punch in on that too. You go a little flat, you go a little sharp, you go a little out of sync with the beat and everything. Yeah, you got to do that again. Or you get too loud. This happened while narrating. I would get like way into the dialogue or something. And it's a funny thing. When you're performing in television or whatever, you're yelling for somebody, you're yelling for them. The boom mics, they deal with all that, but not when you're narrating a book. So it's over there. So come over here. So you're yelling, but you're not raising the volume. You have the intensity of it without the volume, which is a very interesting thing because they didn't want me moving away from the mic. Like in singing, you can move back a little bit for the loud things or the high notes, but not for when I was in the studio. He wanted the distance between me and the mic. He wanted it all in my voice, the intensity of shouting without shouting. And then conversely, the intimacy of imagining and thinking to yourself, but without really getting much softer. And so that was like a really interesting thing.
Tori Eldridge is our guest. She is the author of the Lily Wong series of the Homeric saga, Dance Among the Flames, one of my all-time favorite books. And now, KAUA I STORM, which is her latest and greatest. And it is, by the time this releases, will be available in audiobook wherever great audiobooks are sold. Why did you write KAUA I STORM?
Oh, goodness. I've been meaning to write about my homeland, but you know what? Truthfully, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for it. With Lily Wong, I was paying homage to my Chinese and Norwegian heritage and my martial arts, and all that felt very natural and with who I was at the time, because I was a 5th degree black belt. I had just stopped training, teaching, traveling the United States and committed myself to becoming a novelist. It was who I was. It was very easy to write about. And people would say, but why don't you write about Hawaii? And I'm like, I'm not quite ready for that. And then I wrote about Brazil and dove into that culture. And I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I've hit that point. I've hit that point where I feel grounded enough and mature enough in my writing ability to be able to really be authentic and address what is happening with Native Hawaiians in Hawaii today. Because that was a big thing that I wanted to do. I didn't want to just write a cool mystery or thriller, something exciting set in paradise. I've read a lot of those and they're fabulous. They really capture the feel of the islands, but that wasn't going to be enough for me. It had to be a book, a story that only a Kanaka Maoli would tell, and that you could sense that feeling of authenticity and of being in a Hawaiian family. That was very important to me. So I felt ready. And I think the other reason I was ready was because I became a tutu. I became a grandmother. And my 4-year-old granddaughter, her name is Moana, yes, named after the character in the movie. And my grandson was just born. He's 15 months now, and his name is Nahele, which means forest. So we have the ocean and the forest. And here I am, Tutu. And I have now become the keeper of traditions and little bits of language and things to pass on. And so I think that's also why it was really important for me to write at this time of my life.
One of the things that I found surprising about KAUA I STORM was that although I know from having read many drafts of this along the way that you really wanted this to be authentic Hawaiian cultural stuff, that many of the dynamics and many of the characteristics of your cast, including Makalani, are universal and will resonate with readers who never spent a moment there, know nothing about the culture. How did you pull that off?
Oh my gosh. First off, thank you so much for saying that. And I'm so glad that you felt that. At the core of all relationships, especially in family, but really all relationships, are these universal qualities, universal issues, universal emotions. That's what I like to write about. The fact that it is also nuanced with Hawaiian. Everybody loves Hawaii. Everybody is fascinated. People want to go there. They want to go back, all these sorts of things. But you don't get to see it from the inside out so often. So that's so fascinating. That's fun. But it's that relatability, that touching the chord on these universal themes. And so how do I do that? I just try and be real to the relationships. That's all. I think maybe being an actress has something to do with that, but I think that's really at the core of it. If the relationships feel real, the dialogue will feel real. It'll come organically and it will be relatable.
You truly are a child of the universe. What is it that has drawn you to your Hawaiian roots?
Let's see here. So I was born and raised in Honolulu. I didn't leave until I graduated from home, but my father was from North Dakota. So a lot of my relatives were from North Dakota. And when I graduated from high school, I spent a year at Northwestern, which is right there in Illinois on the lake. Oh my God, was it cold. But anyway, that's another story. So there was that. And I've been away from home a long time. And there's always a pull to coming home. That's another thing I think is universal. Almost everybody moves away from home, at least for a short while. Some people for good, some people for long times, and then they come back. When we come back, even if it's for a visit, it's different. Who we are, how we relate, how we see the place, how the place sees us. Coming home is a very complex and emotional experience. And that's what I wanted to write about. At first, I was a little bit worried because I'd been away so long. I'm like, I'm part of the Hawaiian diaspora. What do I know about what's going on with Native Hawaiians in Hawaii today? And then I realized, whoa, this is what the book is about. This is what makes it relatable, is the trying to come home, is the a little bit fish out of water, is that push and pull. So, yeah, I have no idea if I answered your question. I don't even remember what the question was now.
It was a perfect answer.
Oh, phew. So glad.
I think I could just wind you up on any topic. You could give me something.
I just keep talking. I love to talk story. That's the Hawaiian in me. I just talk. The other thing that's the Hawaiian in me, I'm going to meet you for the first time. I'm going to give you a hug.
Yes.
Isn't that true?
Nowadays, you have to ask permission because some
Oh, hell on that.
with that. Yeah.
I apologize after. I'm like, I'm Hawaiian. I'm sorry. It'd probably be different if I was a guy, but I'm a girl. So people are like, oh, that's so nice.
You have performed on so many different stages, on the stage itself, on television, as an author, as a storyteller, as a teacher of martial arts. What are commonalities of all of those platforms that you think you enjoy the most?
That's an interesting question. I think I like the commitment to giving everything in that moment, to being right there 100% of my attention, my focus, my emotion. It's almost like a walking meditation, right? I can't think of anything else when I'm locked into writing. When I am teaching martial arts, I don't think about anything else. When I'm on stage, when I'm singing in front of a mic, when I'm narrating the audiobook, there's nothing else I'm thinking about. 100% there, completely consumed. I think I like that experience.
And you've done well in many genres as a writer, from short stories to novellas to long form, just about every possible way to do it across several genres.
I get bored easy.
How did you figure out the rules for each? Because they're all very different.
Funny that. I started writing before I was aware of genre. So I just wrote the crazy stuff in my head. Oddly enough, Dance Among the Flames, which you love, was the third book published, but the first book I ever wrote. And that book is almost undefinable as a genre. We called it dark fantasy, Brazilian dark fantasy, maybe a thriller in places, but it really just defied. It was what it was, this epic story. And then when I did Lily, I knew a little bit more. And so I consciously set out to write a series that was equal parts intriguing mystery, authentic martial arts action, and multi-generational family life drama. Equal parts, not just had some of this in the thriller. And that was something that I've never experienced as a reader. Same thing with Makalani. So with my Ranger Makalani Pahukula series, and especially with KAUA I STORM, I knew it was going to be a major multi-generational family life story. But I also wanted it to be an exciting wilderness adventure. And yet I knew it was a mystery. And so I had to follow those clues, keep that pace going, but still make sure I paid it off on a deeply emotional and authentically cultural, because everything I write seems to be authentically cultural. That seems to be a thing with me. Family, culture, action, mystery. I don't know. I can't make up my mind. So I do all of them mashed into one.
Tori Eldridge is our guest. We're talking about KAUA I STORM, her latest. It is, by the time this airs, it will be available in audiobook. She narrated it. Her website is torieldridge.com. There is a thing with narration that when you do read something aloud, you as the creator sometimes will get different insights into the meaning and power of the book. Did that happen to you with this experience?
Absolutely. Not only that, I was working on the second book while I was narrating this first book. And so I was like, oh, I really want to pay attention to that. One of the things was narrating internal thoughts, where I put them and how it felt to narrate that, to be doing the narration, to be doing the dialogue, and then to comment to myself on what this was feeling as Makalani or whatever character, right? So I was very conscious of the fluidity, of where that worked especially well. And I wanted to make sure that I timed it to its best effect in the next book.
This is probably a good place for us to play a selection from the audiobook KAUA I STORM, narrated by our special guest, Tori Eldridge. Listen.
Giant fronds of hapu'u ferns whipped Makalani's face as she plowed through the Kauai rainforest away from the men. They had emerged from the jungle like a pack of wild dogs, barking commands to find, catch, kill. "Over there!" a man yelled, then pumped his shotgun with a distinctive ka-chunk. Makalani dived into the red-spotted ama'u ferns seconds before pellets shredded the leaves. A centipede crept toward her nose. She blew it away. She wasn't dead yet. The pistol holstered inside her waistband dug into her ribs, but as she rolled onto her hip, another blast peppered the fronds overhead. She left the weapon in place and scurried through the plants. Even an armed ranger needed better cover for a firefight than ferns.
The opening stanza from KAUA I STORM, as narrated by our special guest, its author, Tori Eldridge. 6 years ago now, I interviewed you for the first time, and I asked you this question, and I'm going to ask it again today. Why do you write?
Oh, why do I write? What did I say back then? No. Just kidding. No cheating. Don't tell me. Why do I write? I've been writing about Hawaii now for years, so I'm going to think in terms of that. It is connecting me to my heritage. It's connecting me to roots, identity. It is changing how I feel about myself. It's increasing my comfort with myself, which I think is very interesting. It's rooting me as a grandmother with my grandchildren. And all of this is coming through from the vehicle of writing. So I think at the moment, that's why I'm writing.
What was it like before you felt like you found your roots?
At any point in my life, there's a different priority, right? There's a different focus. And so that's where my energy is going. When I was young, the energy was very external. Everything was going out. I wanted to be a dancer, singer, actress. I wanted to be on Broadway, on television, all this performing coming at you. Very extroverted, that kind of feeling. Martial arts really did the empowerment and inner strength and real blasting through a lot of fears. Don't have to be worried about that. Can really marshal that inner power. And then the higher and higher in the levels and capability I became, the reverse happened. I became more and more assured. And with that assurance, I became quieter. My energy became quieter and calmer because I had that assurance. With writing, it's a very internalized thing. Before it was also extroverted. Writing is an internal experience. I find myself being at home alone more, enjoying that, wanting that. When I go out, it can be fun, but it can be exhausting. I want to get back to my little cocoon and just bring it all in. And then, of course, being away from performance, there's less attention to how you look and all that kind of stuff that you get as an actress and a dancer. And yet, when I was doing the Lily Wong books, there was an image, right? Because it was me, Chinese, Norwegian, kick-ass martial artist. So I was putting that energy out, right? That's what I was doing. The Hawaii books, very different. Very different. I'm locking into that aloha spirit. There's family. I'm bringing it in. Everything is very casual. I grew out my hair. Now I don't even use a hair dryer. I just wash it, mess it up, let it dry. It's going to be whatever it's going to be. And I'm cool. I'm good with that. I even dress differently. Everything I find I'm thinking differently. And it's really nice I enjoy it. I have enjoyed every stage of my life. Each stage has felt better than before. I've never wanted to go back. And I think I'm happier at 64 than I've ever been.
How do you define happiness today?
I think contentment has a lot to do with it. When my mind is calm, when my heart is at ease, when I'm surrounded by love. I live in a house with my grandchildren, and I get to hug and kiss them every morning. I'm there on the day-to-day. That family is such a support. And so all those feelings, I think that's how I think of happiness, which is very different than how I thought of happiness when I was 18 or 25 or 32 or 47 or 55. It changes, and that's a good thing.
You've done so many of these interviews. Is there a question that you wish you had been asked, that you have never been asked?
With you? Never. You always ask the perfect things. I always have the best time. I have never come away from an interview with you where I went, oh, dang, that Terry Shepard, man, why did he ask that? Why didn't he ask this? Never happened. There's a reason you're the best.
I throw that one in at the end because occasionally somebody will come up with something and it's way out of left field, but it is an insight that just makes the whole interview. But when I'm with you, every answer is a gift.
Aw, I appreciate that. Mahalo nui loa.
And back at you, whatever that means.
Oh, come on. Context, Philly. You can figure that out.
You're going to love KAUA I STORM. It's the latest from Tori Eldridge. ToriEldridge.com is her website. And you're going to have the distinct pleasure of hearing her render it in the audiobook. As we leave the show today, I'm going to play a small segment so you can get a taste of what's ahead for you. Tori Eldridge, thank you so much for the conversation.
Oh, my pleasure, truly. Thank you for having me.
In Conversation with Terry Shepard is a copyrighted presentation. All rights reserved. I'm Lisa Davis. Join Terry Shepard next time in Conversation.